workshop is being presented by your leadership in the greater Pennsylvania region. Every month, we're going to strive to offer some kind of a supervisor workshop informational session for you. And then we hope that after you view this presentation, that you will have some time to discuss it at your meeting with your supervisor and your disaster program manager or supervisor, whichever one might be attending the meeting. I'm Steve Castle. I am the Regional Mass Care Lead, and joining me is...
Hi, this is Rachel Tippett, and I'm the Regional Mass Care Manager.
All right, so let's get started right away. So in order to be a supervisor, of course, you're going to be managing volunteers, and something you just have to quickly understand. There's some tasks that you have, and then there's some soft skills that you're going to need when you're working with folks. And it's not really managing. It's like, this is like if you manage a project, if you have a dinner party and you have to, get this organized and get that organized, and you have to get somebody to help you set the table and somebody to maybe run downstairs and find some more napkins. It's that kind of a situation. It's not something that's very, very complex. So we're going to first start. I'm going to start talking about the tasks of a supervisor, and then Rachel's going to talk more about the soft skills. So understand about the volunteers that you're going to be working with. Everybody has different motivations for why they're there. Some people like rewards, other people don't like rewards. So things are going to differ. In every single case, workers are going to expect it to be treated well. And our workers are going to have various capabilities. They're going to come from all walks of lives. And then also, one of the things that, we have to understand when we're leading our group is that we need to lead by example and coaching rather than exerting that authority. So some of the roles of a shelter supervisor, make sure you have those resources in place for the tasks that need to be completed. You're going to be working beside and directing the workforce that you supervise. Try to elevate the capabilities of the workers. So when you have your workforce out there, what you want to try to do is, a good supervisor will elevate their capacities, which means, or capabilities and capacity, which means let them grow, let them do more, give them more experiences, and then continually work to improve the shelter and the services provide to the client. So in addition to, working with your workforce, you're also going to have to, do those tasks required to operate a shelter and to make sure that the clients are taken care of also. So like other supervisor responsibilities include protecting the safety of the workforce and the clients, making sure those assigned tasks are completed, making sure that your teams are operating within the proper procedures, making sure that there's a positive client and workforce experience. This requires a lot of face-to-face discussion, check-ins, some of the things that Rachel is going to talk a little bit more about later in the presentation. And of course, responsibilities to be able to handle difficult issues. And to be able to do that, you need to have some good problem-solving skills. So, when you go out on an operation, or when you go anywhere, right, you want to know things. You need to know things. How am I supposed to do something? What am I supposed to do? So, in a shelter, especially, when people are going to a facility they're not familiar with, they want to know how the shelter is going to be laid out, where the functions are located, where are we going to do feeding? Where's the dormitory going to be? What are we going to do, for registration? They want to know who their direct supervisor is. It might be the person who they first meet when they come in the door, but it might be somebody who's back there working already to get something set up. And they say, your supervisor is back there in the dormitory. Go back and get to, find out who your supervisor is and work with your supervisor. And again, then through that, they want to know what their work assignments, and what they're going to do. What am I going to do here? What do you want me to do? Give me a list of things to do. Point me in the right direction, and I'm going to go. They might want to know what the schedule is or what days off. So if they have a schedule, well, we're going to be here from 7 tonight till 5 tomorrow morning, or you're going to be here. Can you stay until 4 o'clock this afternoon? If you're there for a larger relief operation, when you're there for like 5 to 7 to 10 days, after every 7 days, you should be asking for a day off. All those kinds of things are important to ask up front. And then also you want to know, what transportation arrangements are. What are they? How am I going to get here every day if I'm staying in a staff shelter? Or can somebody pick me up at the chapter and bring me here because it's a 45-minute drive. So, all those kinds of things, are things that workers may want to know. Uh, Being a good communicator is very important, and you need to, be sharing information, exchanging, thoughts, and like this slide says, all need to be exchanging information. So some of those methods, when you have a shift change, you want to meet with your workforce and let them know what happened in the last shift, what to expect in the next shift. You as a supervisor may have some meetings, and with the shelter manager, with other supervisors. So, anything that you're gathering, pass that information along to the shelter workers. We really don't want any secrets. We really don't want people holding back information. It's not a good way to communicate with your workers. So face-to-face feedback, recognition, and problem-solving discussions, that's going to be your key to success when you're communicating with folks, especially like new folks. People want to have that information. And the other important thing is wellness checks with each other. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you hungry? Did you get something to drink? Is there something we need? And it could involve, well, I really need something, but I didn't see it here at the shelter. So say maybe somebody's going to run out and get an errand, run an errand and say, hey, can you stop by and get Steve a 2-liter bottle of Coke, so he can get through the day. So wellness checks, if people are working with clients, and again, Rachel's going to talk about this, you have a lot of clients coming in and out, and there's a lot of emotions that are displayed. So, checking with that workforce to make sure that they have what they need, both mentally and physically, to complete their tasks. So problem solving, we all come into a situation where we have a problem comes up. So how are we going to solve it? So if you think about, ways that we solve problems, there's all kinds of formulas, right? If you take classes on problem solving or take workshops on problem solving, they all have, little steps that you take. And so Red Cross kind of identifies these 4 steps. One is the first thing you want to do is identify the problem or issue and what caused the problem. What's the cause behind it? And then you're going to solicit suggestions from others. Again, you're going to maybe have your own opinion, but try to get some other suggestions there if possible. And then you're going to consider what options are available. And then you're going to use your good judgment. You're going to stay within the policies and principles of the organization. And then you're going to provide a solution. You always hear in Red Cross, we try to get to yes. And that doesn't mean just giving away the farm. It means, let's come up with a viable solution that fits within our policies, something we can actually do. But as a supervisor, you need to be able to have some of that problem solving skills. Sometimes you're going to see problems outside of your supervisory scope. Well, then you contact your supervisor or consult other coworkers if you need to. The last thing that I'm going to talk about in task is to complete a worker evaluation. And these worker evaluations are an online form that's in Volunteer Connection. And what you will do is you're going to have to evaluate the items that are in there related to the job assignment. There's going to be a laundry list of questions that you're going to respond to. You're going to be asked to write a short narrative that includes some specifics about the worker's strengths, things they did well. And then that evaluation is going to have to be reviewed by the shift supervisor, the shelter manager. One of the things that you have to remember about a performance evaluation is that the performance evaluation really starts when the worker comes to you. You have the worker, you have a job induction, you talk about, these are your responsibilities, these are the things that you're expected to do. And then when it comes to writing the performance evaluation, you just take that list of expectations and you write about and you describe how that worker carried out those assignments and those expectations that you had. And so, if you are in contact, if you follow the good communication methods, you guys, you and your workforce should be on the same page about, are you meeting your expectations? Are you doing this? Are we solving this problem? Or do you have any needs? And then, when it comes time to write this performance evaluation, you have a lot of the information that you need to do that. So this ends my section on the tasks of a shelter supervisor. Rachel is now going to talk more about the soft skills that you're going to need.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so as we're supervising a team, we want to think about the feelings and the experience that our team is having. We want to create a sense of belonging with that team, whether the team members that you're with are there for a couple days before they rotate off, or whether they're there for your whole 2 weeks. I think in the organization, we talk a lot about how we treat the clients and how we want to make sure that our clients feel respected and heard. And all of those things also apply to our team members, whether we're from the same area or we have the same ways of thinking. When we put the Red Cross vest on, we are a team. We share the fundamental principles. We have our 5 core values. So we just really want to be thinking of those when we're interacting not only with our clients, but with our team members. The first point here just reiterates the fact that our workforce is our volunteers and they are here. They want to be helpful. They saw this disaster on TV. They had a relative, they had some sort of connection to this, and they really just want to be helpful. So just keeping in mind that is the motivation for while they're here. And sure, they may make mistakes. They may not know everything that there is to do in terms of all the tasks to check off on a checklist, but we want to honor the fact that they are giving of their time for 2 weeks or more to spend with a bunch of strangers and to spend just giving back to their community. As I mentioned, some may remember their training better than others. Some may have just been trained a couple weeks ago, and some may have been doing this for 20 years. So just keeping that in mind as a supervisor. And the best way to figure this out is honestly just by having conversations with them, asking them, hey, what brought you here? That kind of ties into our next point of finding out what they feel good at, what they want to do, what are their strengths. Are you new to the Red Cross? Have you been here for 10 years? What are your strengths? What do you enjoy doing? We want everyone to have an enjoyable experience because, again, they're volunteering their time and space and mental energy to be here. Steve mentioned something earlier about working within their capacities. So this is another conversation that you can have with the workforce is, again, what are your strengths? What do you like to do? But then also, what would you like to improve on? Is there, in Red Cross terminology, is there another gap that you're working towards? Is there a promotion that you're working towards? And the answer might be no, and that is totally fine. But we want to just make sure that our volunteers feel seen and heard in that regard, and that they are able to work towards the promotion within the organization if that's what they're looking for. As Steve just mentioned about the self-evaluations or the written evaluations that our supervisors do for our team members, we want to be able to praise our team members liberally and publicly, but if there is a performance issue or something that needs to be handled, making sure that that's not in front of everybody, that that's not happening at a team meeting, and that's instead addressed one-on-one. One of the best ways to be able to praise people liberally and publicly is by keeping track of that throughout the day. I know a lot of times supervisors and above recommend that we carry around notebooks or something like that, just to be able to see and acknowledge the work that other people are doing that by the end of a 12-hour shift you may have forgotten about as a supervisor. So we really just encourage you to keep some sort of note-taking system on you when you see your team members doing a good job or going out of their way, doing something you didn't necessarily ask them to do, but they are stepping up and going above and beyond. So this kind of follows up on what Steve mentioned earlier about giving our team members specific and clear tasks. Everyone likes to be helpful. Everyone is there to help. But sometimes there's so many different things to do, especially if in a really big shelter, that we do need to assign certain tasks to certain people and then explain why. It could be as simple as, we need to clean these dining tables so that they're ready to eat lunch at this time. Please use this cleaner, follow up with this spray, and it needs to be completed at this time. It just kind of gives a framework for our workers to work under and helps them know what their expectations are. And another plug for evaluations is that when we have specific tasks that we've given people and they have successfully completed, we can tie that into their evaluation at the end of their deployment, or even just as simply at the end of the day during the team meeting to say, hey, I asked you guys to do this, 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 and this, and everybody did it, and we worked together as a team. And it just kind of like creates that camaraderie, and it lets people know that there is a space for them here. Kind of just covered a lot of this, but explain it or show them how you want it to be done. Make sure that they understand what you're asking. Offer to show it to them once or twice, and then check how they're doing. And of course, at the end, commend and thank them when the work is finished. So this is one of my favorite slides, just about back to the whole belonging piece, making sure that we're reviewing our team members as humans first and foremost, that they are bringing their whole lives with them, and then they are also experiencing so many different things inside of a shelter and outside in a disaster zone. So asking very pointed questions, even outside of, oh, how are you or how was your day? But asking specifically, hey, are you facing any hostility from the clients or from other staff? A big point about this is that a lot of our workforce lives all over the country and lives in rural areas. Some live in urban, some have lived in their whole lives, some have moved around a lot. Again, everybody is bringing their own experiences to the operation, and now they're interacting with clients to our population who potentially is living in a completely different setting than they're used to. The most recent example was with the LA wildfires, and people coming from very rural counties or rural parts of the US and landing in LA, which the airport itself is very large. So just navigating the airport, realizing how overwhelming that may be. And then by the time they get to the shelter, everything that they have experienced through there up until then, whether that's, traffic or more cars or just generally more people around, more busyness happening. And also thinking about how that has translated into the shelter and the clients that they're experiencing, the different demographics that are there, different socioeconomic status. Maybe they're dealing with the unhoused population, which they have never worked with in their home county. So just making sure that our team feels welcome and wanted. Do they feel included? As Steve mentioned about making sure that they have transportation, it doesn't hurt to ask pointed questions. Hey, is your lodging situation acceptable? Is there anything that you'd like to report? Let's go ahead and plan for your day off ahead of time. You're here on day one, and let's start to look at what that looks like for a day off in the next 7 to 8 days. And hopefully you're able to cultivate a relationship with your team that they're able to express to you, hey, I feel supervised fairly in this way, or not so much, or hey, I had this interaction with this person at another shelter or at headquarters, and let's talk through that. Do they feel that their contributions are noticed? And all of these things play into their overall satisfaction with their deployment. So just again, remembering that us as supervisors, we want people to feel heard. Yes, we're problem solvers. Yes, we can go through checklists and tasks and all of that, but we want to acknowledge the work that the team is doing, provide clear direction, and establish positive team dynamics that is open to feedback 360 degrees. So one of our last slides is again, being aware of yourself as a supervisor and how you're interacting with your team members. So we want to be the team's coach and champion. We want to point out good, positive interactions. We want to point out when they are going above and beyond and when they're able to do the tasks that we've set out for them to do. We want to make sure that we are treating everyone equally and not showing favoritism or disfavor, knowing, of course, that we're all a bunch of strangers who have never interacted together before, but we do have the Red Cross in common. We have our mission in common to alleviate human suffering, and just giving each other the benefit of the doubt, especially at the end of a long 12-hour shift. And when you're started to hit day 10, 11, 12, 13, when you're really just tired and it's kind of building up on you, to be careful with our words, encourage our team to be careful with the words when we're tired, stressed, or disappointed, and just noticing, hey, what do you need? Do you need a break? You need to take 10 minutes and go outside? Like Steve mentioned, do you need a Diet Coke? All those things just kind of acknowledges the humanity of our workforce, and lets people feel seen and like they belong to the team that they're on for that short period of time. And finally, just thank you for everybody in the room who is a shelter worker or a shelter supervisor or is interested in being a shelter supervisor. Your commitment to sheltering is appreciated, and mass care sheltering is going to be the thing that Red Cross does forevermore. So it is very important. We want to make sure that our clients feel respected and seen, and our workforce does as well. Thanks for being here, and I will leave it to you and your chapter team to continue the discussions of your own experiences and what that looks like locally and nationally.